mock trades, listener league check-ins, and a loaded 32-team, 16-game betting board awaits us on the Tuesday edition of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Let's tap in and get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir, you've heard the music and you know what time it is. It is time for your daily 30-minute source for all things fantasy hockey, and you know we're bringing that heat with a betting breakdown at the end of every single episode of the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. Shout out to the everydayers holding us down who continue to make us their first listen every single day. We are proud to be a part of the Locked On Network. Check us out for free across all platforms you find your favorite and hottest content, and make sure you smash that follow button, subscribe, and drop us a 5-star review wherever you take in your podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 wager hits. Mr. Rodin, today we have a 16-game betting board to get to at the end of the episode. I've got a few picks. I got my lock of the night. Hard to really hone in on a couple of good spots, but
yes,
we'll talk about that as well. We will talk about our listener leagues, competitive and casual. I've got some work to do, and I want you to help me along here, my team in that casual league. It's Grizzly Adams at best. However, we will start this episode in a similar vein. You and I get sent a whole bunch of trade offers. I usually tend to turn them down and try to counter. I want to get your take on trades. I feel like this is a good time of year to maybe fire off a few. Over to you, and we're going to start with the proposed trade that I got in our competitive league. I have Quinton Byfield. The offer was Jordan Kyrou. What's your take on these players first and foremost? Start wherever you'd like, and what you would do in this situation.
Well, I think first of all, 1-for-1 trade is again, it depends on what you're looking for position wise, value wise, but I think that's about as a fair offer as you could get in some of these leagues, especially in a categorical league. Both guys, Jordan Kyrou is more established. Obviously, he's he has that repertoire of putting up consistent 30-goal seasons. Close to 70 or 75 point seasons as well. Quinton Byfield has elevated his game over the last couple of years. Again, depends what you're looking for position wise, but I think that's a straight up fair deal for both of you guys out there, Jordan Kyrou and Quinton Byfield. Again, it all depends on what you're looking for. If you're getting Jordan Kyrou and you're looking for that, help on the wing side, I say pull the trigger and accept that.
Here's my immediate concern when I look at a trade like this is me personally, and I think a lot of trade situations, yes, you want to do your research. Yes, you have to know what it fits your team or not, is if you're buying into what's also going on around this player. And I mean Jordan Kyrou in specific. And when I look at the LA Kings, and I know they've only scored 5 more goals than the St. Louis Blues this season, I guess I just personally, and I think I've said this to you before, I'm not buying into the Blues. And I know Montgomery went there last year and they went on a special run and they were really, really good. Armstrong in the front office, all of it. We talked about Snuggerud, Braden Shen, Mathieu Joseph, and Jordan Kyrou isn't jumping off the page for me. So I did turn this one down, Steele, and I also look at the peripheral love that you get with Jordan Kyrou, because there is a little bit more there for Quinton Byfield. I just see the upside with Quinton Byfield's offensive output and the LA Kings overall as a team that I for sure see finishing in the top 3 in that division, and I don't see that for the Blues. This one is for me. I turned it down. However, I think the main thing here, because let's be honest, Quinton Byfield and Jordan Kyrou are two kind of random players to be bringing up on a mock trade kind of situation, but maybe it's not.
Okay.
Because you need to know what to do with the value for these players. And I would say, if you're like me, and we're going to get to our casual league breakdown, which is not pretty, I wasn't kidding. Your boy's languishing in the final spot, and we will get to bets. You might have to take some shots here. And you might need to kind of load up on spots where you can fill out your roster. So I would say send us some more trades so we can break it down. To me, it's Quinton Byfield and the LA Kings. I'm going to ride true with this player. However, I hear what you're saying about steady as she goes with Jordan Kyrou.
So I think my one piece of advice for you, if I could give you any, is, which I've said in the past too, is
Please.
you got to separate those two kind of caveats, or perspectives of how you're looking at these players. While you may not buy into the St. Louis Blues, that doesn't really correlate to how Jordan Kyrou is going to perform fantasy wise. And while maybe some peripherals are better for Quinton Byfield, blocks and hits for Quinton Byfield are definitely in his favor. Mm-hmm. Shots on goal are definitely in Jordan Kyrou's favor. Point total, power play production is in Jordan Kyrou's favor. That's why I would say lean towards him. And again, it all depends on what you're looking for positionally. And I even said that same thing when it comes to Miro Heiskanen, which actually I'm going to bring up right now as well. So again, piece of advice: maybe separate those two perspectives when you're not buying into a team. However, you can buy into the player. I actually sent out a trade myself the other day, and this might be a little bit egregious for most people out there. It is in the casual league, and I decided to try to acquire Miro Heiskanen. I haven't heard back from the manager. I haven't, it hasn't been rejected yet. Maybe they're still, stewing on it, sitting there contemplating what to do. However, I sent a trade. It was Justin Brazeau and Braden Schneider for Miro Heiskanen. And obviously, I know that's a little bit out there, but how Justin Brazeau was performing, not just offensively, but bringing those peripherals, 15 plus shots, 14 plus hits, 10 plus blocks. Braden Schneider, obviously you're not going to get a lot of point production, but he is bringing the blocks, the hits as well for those categorical banger leagues. And you know how I've spoken about Miro Heiskanen in the past. I think people overhype him from time to time. I'm also trying to make a spot available, as I've got a few guys coming off the IR. I believe Joseph Wall being one of them. So I'm trying to create some space for him to come back into the lineup for me instead of just dropping a player. So I did send out Justin Brazeau and Braden Schneider for Miro Heiskanen, and that was on the trade block as well that I just sent to another league manager as well. So what's your take on that before we get to the next trade for yourself and after the break?
Yeah, no, I totally understand how this is you once again, 101, sticking to your guns. These are two players that I think not only have you utilized in your week-to-week kind of waiver ads and just plug and plays, you've spoken about them highly. So I like that you're selling them on the show, and then you're going out there and you're trying to make it happen. I appreciate that. But look, this is the time to get creative. And, end of the year type moves, that smack of desperation, they're a lot harder to swallow. And, don't be the guy, by the way. Boosh Dags in our casual league just took me to the woodshed. I think 10-2 in the previous matchup.
We'll talk about that
now
soon.
He's just messing with me, sending me Sam Bennett for Marco Rossi, obviously an auto decline. Please don't bring that in here. He also went out there and dropped Sam Bennett today. So that's a little salt in the wound. We will talk about my team after the break. However, I like what you're up to. And look, fire off a couple, work it back and forth. This is the time. I think you and I will probably do a couple of buy low, sell high, or target some guys that you can buy low. We've thrown out some names, maybe some guys returning from injury, perhaps. We'll talk about that after the break. Casual league, competitive league, how we're doing. Tees, not so good for me. Bets coming up at the end of the episode, and we'll be back the rest of the week bringing you that fantasy heat. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Monarch. Be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401k, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that means leaving money on the table. That's why we both started using Monarch. Both Steele and I love that all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or phone. It helps you organize accounts, track spending, and get a better handle on investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. Steele, I don't like spreadsheets, and that's why I love Monarch. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review for your boys here, Flip Livingstone and Steele Rodin. We are going to get into our listener league reviews. We're almost a month into the season. Obviously, we're getting into week 4 right now. But let's take a look at how not just Flip and I are doing, but how the leagues are going in general. Let's start with both of us, and then we'll kind of do a league overview of who's performing, who's not right now. Let's get to the standings. Obviously, I didn't want to have to throw you under the bus or call you out. You kind of did it yourself. But Flip, what is going on here?
Yep.
Dead last
Well,
in the casual league, 9-26-1 record. Flip, the mic is all yours. Tell us what's going on here.
First and foremost, I'm trash. So let's just be clear. So I'm going to own up to it. And at the end of the day, I'll say this. I have a very tough split of things going on here, and it comes down to 3 when I looked at this team. Number 1, some of the players that I really bought into, those kind of peripheral pieces, I like my Kirill Kaprizov, Sidney Crosby, Velarde situations, but they haven't come on fire. They're just steady as she goes. And then the pieces that I just stuck to, Laferriere, Lacombe, they've all started fairly quiet. And then you look at the third problem that I did here, Steele, and you look at my goaltending situation, which has been a nightmare. I'm losing almost every goaltending category each week. I did a hybrid approach. I didn't do 0G, and I didn't go after goalies at the top. I kind of did this weird hybrid situation, which right now, if you're out there listening, don't do what I did this year. So I came out with Darcy Kemper and Kochetkov. Kochetkov going down with injury, it's going to happen. But then I've tried to plug and play with Artur Shilovs. I picked up Akira Schmid. I didn't either go for a bona fide number 1 Steele, or I didn't load up my lineup up top and waited for goaltenders. So I stuck myself in the middle, and now I'm behind the 8 ball. I did what I said I would do. I picked up Anthony Mantha. I like what Brant Clark has done. I did stick with Alex Laferriere. He's starting to pick up points. But some of those guys in the middle of the rung, and I'm going to turn it back to you. Travis Konechny, ho-hum. Gabriel Velarde, even though that top line is clicking, only 6 points. I think I still am going to stick to my guns on some of these players, Steele, but sooner than later, it might be blow up a clock, and I'll leave it at this. Matvei Michkov, with only 1 goal, is really cheesing me and sucking a lot of energy out of my club, and I'll leave it at that.
Well, just looking at the goalie stats here, if you're watching on YouTube, both Flip and I are struggling in the goalie categories. Flip 0-3 in wins. I'm 0-2-1.
Boom.
1-2 against goals against average, 1-2 save percentage, 1-0-2 shutouts. Like, we're losing pretty much every single week in goalie categories right now. Goalie categories right now. If you go to forward and defenseman, again, you can kind of see these stats right here about which categories we've won on a week-to-week basis here. I've done fairly well outside of blocks right now. Again, I'm up almost in every single category except for blocks. I'm 1-2-0 in the assist category through the first 3 weeks as well. Again, some of those guys that you've hung on to, just slow starts to the season right here. Let's get over to my team. Again, I'm not doing too much better, but I am doing a little bit better. I am in 8th place, so currently technically in a playoff spot, 17-15-4 on the season right here. And just like you, I've kind of stuck with my guns. We'll go to my team real quickly. I haven't been too fond of some production so far from certain players. Again, 2 goals from Alexander Ovechkin. 2 goals from Alexander Ovechkin isn't exactly what I want to see from one of the best goal scorers, if not the best goal scorer in the game. Carter Verhaeghe, slow start, only 4 points throughout the first 9-10 games for him as well. I've had to work the waiver wire. Nino Niederreiter, Justin Brazeau, Devin Taves I picked up, Braden Schneider, Connor Garland, who I talked about on our recent waiver wire. Again, I talked about my goaltenders, which has just been an absolute carousel, and still not getting really much out of Stuart Skinner. Still waiting for Joseph Wall to come back, which I'm really excited for, to help me out in that situation as well. I fared a little bit better, but it has been it's been a very scrappy first 3 weeks for your boy over here. Again, if we go back to the standings, and we kind of look at the schedule here and we go under my team, it's been very close every single week. Lost week 1, 5-6. 1 week 2, 7-5. Just squeaked out a win in week 3, 5-4 against Slavin away. So it's been a very scrappy 3 weeks for me, but luckily I've been able to come out on top in 2 out of the 3 weeks.
And let's just be honest. When it comes down to fantasy in these leagues, we're going up against people who know what they're talking about. We call it casual and competitive, but shout out to everybody out there who's involved with these leagues. We appreciate it so much. And it just goes to show you, Steele and I spend far too much time doing this, and it can be a struggle. And look, you even know I've been ruthlessly sick in the past week. You know all the stuff I've had going on in our life. You've had a lot. And if you even don't set your lineup for, I didn't even set my lineup for this past Sunday fantasy Steele, and I got roasted. So it's like, it happens. You know what I'm saying? And it just goes to show you that if you are serious about this and you got money invested in all of that, you got to stay on it. Like you said to me yesterday, finger on the pulse. However, there's still time, Mr. Rodin, and I'm coming for all of y'all out there. So I don't want to hear it, even one bit of hate, because your boy's coming. Jimmy Snuggerud revenge angle, baby. Let's get over to the competitive league whenever you're ready. You and I are basically neck and neck. That league also, Steele, is very close. All the way down from 16 till basically 2, because we got flaming snot donkeys running away with it right now. Don't know what that name means. I don't know if we're going to get flagged for that. Over to you for how you're feeling with your team, and then we can talk about some stuff after the break.
Well, real quick before we get to break in the competitive league, I want to show some love to some of these guys. Obviously, Trevor, Harley Golden Boys in first place, 26-7-3 to start off the season. Muskoka All Skates also in second place, and then Willie Roybers, Boostdags as well. Very good. But I want to give a lot of credit to Harley Golden Boys here, Harley Golden Boys, Trevor, who's been in the league multiple years now. And just, when I look back at his draft, it's almost a flawless team. And again, I'm going to pull it up.
He must be listening to the pod.
He must be listening to the pod, but almost a flawless draft. I mean, the first 7 picks he went through: Makar, Hedman, Forsberg, Natchez, Jarvis, Thompson, and Pettersson, who's had a really good start to the season as well. Later in the draft, you get guys like Boone Jenner, Will Cooley, some depth guys, Chris Kreider, Frank Nazar, his last pick. Caden Gooley was really performing well before he went down to injury. Chris Kreider, Zeev Buem's been great on the power play, even though Minnesota sucks right now. So I definitely wanted to give a shout out to Trevor and the Harley Golden Boys because, again, almost a flawless draft, and he is right now in first place by a long shot from where you and I are right now. So I had to show some love to our boy Trevor, multiple years in the listener league. So shout out to you, Trevor. You're doing a great job right now, but Flip and I are definitely coming for that crown. We are going to come back after the break and talk about our competitive real quickly, a full slate, all 32 teams playing Tuesday night. But first, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to the fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially your team making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review for your boys here, Flip, Livingstone, and Steele Rodin. Let's get over to the competitive league real quickly, and then we'll get to bets, of course. Again, a little bit of a different story for both Flip and I. I'm from 8th place in the casual league down to 10th place. Flip from 16th to 9th, so he's doing better than I am right now. But let's start with your team, Flip. Not by much, but you are doing better, so kudos to you. Let's take a look at your team. What are you liking? How's it going so far? Players that are also to a slow start and players that are also performing very well.
Here's what I like the most about my team. Connor McDavid hasn't hit his stride yet. Either really has Braden Point, and I know Braden Point has 2 goals and 5 assists. I still think my two best players haven't been my best players yet, and I'm still hanging in there. I put in Jacob Dobish about a week and a half ago, claimed him on the waiver. He's gone 3-0 and has been lights out since. That helps. Ilya
Great pickup.
Sorokin, you know how much I love this goaltender. He started the year, Steele, 3 straight starts with 4 goals apiece and goals against way over 4. So that didn't work out well for me. He's looked better over the last couple of starts, but it's once again the goaltending that has been a struggle. You and I spoke about this. However, what I will say, what's gone well for me, how about Nick Schmaltz? How about the addition of Dmitry Voronkov? How about Lane Hudson, Cutter Gauthier? And then I have injuries, right? Keandre Miller started out like a house of fire. He's out now. Jake DeBrusk, ho-hum. What I have here is, I think, a much better team than what I have in the casual league. And when I look at Connor McDavid and Braden Point, well, we know where Connor McDavid lies, but Braden Point is arguably a top 12, top 15 fantasy piece. I still think with a hot start from Nick Schmaltz and my blue line, which I love, Lane Hudson, Uyghur, Devin Taves, Logan Stankoven has done nothing. Travis Konechny really has done nothing. I still think I've got a lot better shot with this team, even though it is in the competitive league. I like where this team is headed a lot more than my other one, and it is anchored by the goaltending once again. So that's where I'm at with this squad, Steele, although the work never ends. So I'm looking at guys like, I have Quinton Byfield on this team. Hasn't done as much as I'd expect. Jake DeBrusk has been quiet. Drake Batherson has been a little bit banged up as well. Just had a 3-point night, though. I'm going to start getting points from him. I say look out for this team. I like it a lot more than the casual league.
Yeah, it's definitely looking a lot better. And I'd say the one thing with Braden Point and even just the Tampa Bay Lightning in general, just off to a very slow start. They had a week there where they had five nights off. So they haven't seen the Tampa Bay Lightning a lot. And they're also at the bottom of the division, bottom of the Eastern Conference right now. So they've been off to a slow start. They have won the last couple of games, I believe, but still not as much of an offensive punch as you would like to see from guys like Nikita Kucherov, Braden Point. Jake Gensel's been pretty consistent and steady, but you would expect it to be a little bit better than what you're seeing right now. Team's looking really good, Flip. I expect your team to jump up the standings as well. Let's get over to my team real quickly. Also in the same boat, again, like the casual league, I've had to pick and place a bunch of players. Sam Carrick, I had to bring in for Vincent Trocheck, who went down. Zach Hyman's on the IR as well. Matt Coronado, I'm gonna pretty much drop at this point because
I just did.
I know I saw you do that as well. I had to pick up Jared Spurgeon. Again, there's a lot of players for me. This one's kind of like your casual league, like a slow start for Clayton Keller, a little bit of a slow start for a guy. A guy like Brandon Hagel, who we were just talking about with Braden Point as well. Sam Reinhart, another slow start. I've dealt with a lot of injuries as well. I've got Jacob Markstrom and Jake Allen. Again, I was going through all the goaltenders on the waiver wire, but there's not much left out there. So it's been a struggle for your boy. I view my team in the casual league a lot better than this one in the competitive league. Once I get Zach Hyman and Vincent Trocheck back, once guys like Sam Reinhart really show a level of consistency, when Brandon Hagel starts to get up there once again, I do expect this team to start thriving. But as of right now, it's been pretty abysmal and just, hard to watch from time to time. I'll bring up the standings once again and kind of get up the schedule. Again, it's both the casual and competitive league have been very scrappy for me. Like, we're talking losing or winning by one category, which you can see right here if you're watching on YouTube. 5-4 in the first week win. Back-to-back losses in week 2 and week 3 by 1 or 2 categories here. Let's go over to Flip. Kind of the same situation for you. A big win in week 1 against the Reindeer Biters, and then back-to-back losses. Very close matchups as well for yourself.
Yeah, and that just, I think, is indicative of how good the league is. So shout out to everyone who's interested. We appreciate it so much. We try and return the favor with bets at the end of every episode, Mr. Rodin. And if you're okay, I'm going to kick it off here because, like you said, you almost have to put the blinders on here. 32 teams, every single squad in action, 16 games if my math serves me right. And let me start with this Detroit Red Wings.
They're very tough.
Detroit Red Wings into St. Louis Blues, and it probably doesn't jump off the page. This is a very even split in the head-to-head, 5-3-2 for the Detroit Red Wings in their last 10. That was a big victory against St. Louis the other night. 6-4,
Yes, it
come from
was.
behind.
Yep.
Really aggressive forecheck you see from this Detroit Red Wings team right now, and that tells me confidence. I know Patty Kane is getting close. They get healthy. Look out for this Detroit team right now, Steele. I know you've mentioned that duo in the cage, really anchoring them with the veteran presence of Talbot and Gibson. Hit me with the Red Wings on the money line. That's my first pick. But like you said, very tough board. I got two more, but over to you for your picks, and then I can wrap us up if you'd like.
I'm going to keep this very simple here. Again, all 32 teams in action here. I'm not a fan of really any of these games. I think there's some really tough matchups. There's nothing that you can really hone in on that jumps off the page. The three that jump off the page the most for me, I'm going to start with the Tampa Bay Lightning going into Nashville. I just expect Tampa Bay to be a lot better, and they're not going to be this bad forever. Nashville loses Roman Josi. Philip Forsberg hasn't been that great to start off the season as well. So I expect the Lightning to go into Nashville and make it competitive, but take the win, obviously. Tampa Bay on the money line at -160. And then I'm going to go against the hottest teams in the league here because they are bound to lose as well. These teams that are on 8-game, 7-game win streaks, the Devils and the Mammoth, they're bound to lose. So Devils going into Colorado, I'm taking the Avalanche at home on the money line, -156. And then the Utah Mammoth going into Edmonton. I know Edmonton, the goaltending has been completely garbage with both Pickard and Skinner, like we knew was going to happen once again. I just don't expect them to continue to win like this.
7 wins in a row for the Mammoth.
Yeah, 7 wins, 8 wins for the Devils. Anyways, Lightning, money line. Avalanche, money line. Oilers, money line. All around -156, -160. I'm going with some favorites here. And that's how I'm feeling going into Tuesday night.
Our boy Josh Ingles mentioned the other night how he kind of likes the Chicago Blackhawks start to this season. 4-3-2 for the Chicago Blackhawks. In the last 10 against the Ottawa Senators, 8-1-1 head-to-head for the Chicago Blackhawks. They're not making my card, but if you're feeling a little bit of juice, and it's mostly because the Ottawa Senators look like they just woke up. 7 goals against the Washington Capitals and now 2 wins in a row. I don't want to take Chicago in this spot, but what I do like Steele in this game, with Ottawa's offense erupting and kind of Chicago feeling it a little bit here, I like the over. I love it at 5.5. Take it to 6. Take it to 6.5. I really like the over here, and I would lean to Chicago on the money line if you want to get spicy. You want some numbers for you? Because it's been a little while since I've talked about Sid, at least 48 hours, Mr. Rodin.
Wow.
6 goals, 5 assists in 9 games for Sid. And when you take a look at what this man has done in his career against Philly, and I know they are Pennsylvania rivals, they play in the same division, all of that. This is the team that Sidney Crosby has scored more points against in his career than any other club except the Pushpin Islanders. He has 134 points in 90 games. 56 goals in 90 games, and even better, 79 assists in 90 games. So Old Faithful's coming back for me, Steele. Hit me
there
with
it is.
Sidney Crosby. Anytime assists, like clockwork, taxes, and death, we're back, baby. And hit me with Sidney Crosby. Anytime assists is my lock of the night.
You know what? I was surprised. I hadn't heard that in a while. So this is a big surprise that it's been this long since bringing up Sidney Crosby anytime assist. But I'm loving it. Back-to-back game for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Those are the bets. Those are the lock of the night. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. For your second listen, make sure you got to go check out the Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. You can get local analysis on a national scale, and you can find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. And we'll see you back here again tomorrow.
Go Jays, go.